What if the most guarded secret in modern pop culture isn't an illicit affair or a surprise album drop, but the quietly whispered idea that Blue Ivy Carter's biological mother isn't Beyoncé at all? Imagine the entire Carter empire, Grammy-gilded and bulletproof, resting on paperwork that can never see daylight, and an R&B singer the industry erased almost overnight. Wild, right? Yet every rumor has a birth date, and this one begins 2 decades ago when Tiffany Cobb, stage name Blu Cantrell, hit the airwaves with a revenge anthem that turned breakup rage into chart-topping gold. Back in 2001, Hit 'em Up style wasn't just catchy, it was an instant cultural tattoo. In 14 dizzying days, So Blue went gold, radio spun it on repeat, and Blue collected 2 Grammy nods beside the era's heavyweights. She had the razor-sharp voice, the sharp-tongued lyrics, and a look that popped off magazine covers. Most singers would ride that wave for years. Blue, though, managed to fall off a cliff no one even saw until she was already a cautionary headline. The big question, did she trip or was she pushed? Industry regulars swear the push began at a VIP party where Rockefeller's crown jewel, Jay-Z, supposedly couldn't stop orbiting Blue. Over a single summer, both were spotted at Sean Combs's Hampton mansion, on a borrowed yacht in Saint-Tropez, and huddled together backstage during the VMAs. It could all be coincidence. Music's a small world, but gossip blogs were newborn tigers then, hungry for blood. When shock jock royalty Wendy Williams asked Blue, while live, if she'd ever kissed Jay-Z, Blue smirked so hard the internet shook. She didn't say yes, but she definitely didn't say no, and that silence was louder than any confession. Timing is everything. Weeks after that coy smile, a 20-year-old Houston powerhouse named Beyoncé Knowles stepped out of Destiny's Child with Crazy in Love and an agenda big enough to swallow whole genres. Jay-Z appeared in her debut video, and the rumor mill switched from sparks to wildfire. 2 women on collision paths, one rap mogul in the middle, and an industry that never leaves vulnerable stories untold. Only one of them could be next up queen, and Beyoncé didn't come to share crowns. Suddenly, Blue's sophomore album, Bittersweet, landed with almost no label ammo. Marketing budgets vanished, tour dates slimmed, review copies went missing. She'd recorded a gritty, soulful record that should have cemented her spot beside Ashanti, Aaliyah, and Monica, except the spotlight turned away so sharply it felt choreographed. They quietly let her contract lapse, and insiders whispered that a new gatekeeper had arrived, Jay-Z, freshly minted as president of Def Jam, controlling who got radio love and who didn't. Blue, they said, landed on the wrong side of that velvet rope. She didn't go quietly. In a prickly Guardian interview, Blue fired a shot Beyoncé's way. If you've got issues with your man, take them to him, not the other woman. Sharp words, but they dropped into a black hole. Almost overnight, Blu Cantrell, the woman who dominated summer playlists, became a ghost. No third album, no label bidding war, just silence. Fans chalked it up to one-hit wonder syndrome, but veteran A&Rs whispered about NDAs thicker than wish lists and lawyers working both sides of the table. And then the conspiracy darkened. Around 2004, chatter surfaced that Blue was expecting and the father, rumor claimed, was Jay. Nobody produced ultrasound photos or maternity shoots, but schedules aligned suspiciously. Blue vanished just as Beyoncé's ascendance hit full throttle, and by 2011, Beyoncé announced her first pregnancy. Viewers of an Australian TV special captured a strange moment when Beyoncé's burgeoning belly folded as she sat. The clip went viral in minutes. Q forums exploding with theories of surrogacy and a name that wouldn't quit, Blu Cantrell. Fans argued, why else would the Carters name their daughter Blue Ivy unless it was an inside wink, or a payoff no one could acknowledge? Quick pulse check. Still with me or reaching for the tinfoil? Hit pause and drop a comment. Does the Blue Ivy theory sound plausible, or pure YouTube rabbit hole? Back to the timeline, September 3rd, 2014, 2 a.m., Santa Monica. Police detain a barefoot Blu Cantrell sprinting down a residential street, yelling that someone pumped poisonous gas into her home. Tabloids feast, tagging her unhinged and circling grainy photos like vultures. Blue is placed on a psych hold, then discharged to absolute media ridicule. Yet Blue later tells friends and a few brave bloggers that she was genuinely running for her life, convinced someone wanted her quiet forever. Hard proof? None. But it echoes a chilling pattern where inconvenient voices get painted crazy, then disappeared. Neo-soul firebrand Jaguar Wright threw accelerant on that narrative in 2020 live streams. She accused power players, specifically Jay-Z and Beyoncé, of strategic erasure, claiming Blu Cantrell's blacklist was deliberate. Jaguar pointed to other women, Maya dropped to indie status, Tiara Thomas frozen out, even late career shade thrown at R&B icon Carrie Hilson, and asked whether they all simply failed or whether the chessboard was quietly rigged. Industry heads rolled their eyes, but fans connected dots, printing pattern charts like true crime sleuths. The legal backstory deepens the intrigue. Blu revealed that the lawyer handling her Arista contract also represented label executives, textbook conflict of interest. She never owned her masters, and royalty statements dried to cents. When she tried to self-release in 2013, distributors ghosted after, she says, mysterious phone calls. Around the same period, Blu posted a cryptic tweet, "Can't fight banks and billionaires with just a mic." It vanished the next day, but screenshots live forever, fueling claims of gag orders too expensive to break. Spin the camera forward to right now. On TikTok, Gen Z dances to remixes of Hit 'em Up style, while Blu drops blue heart emojis in comment sections but dodges direct questions. She performs the occasional 90s nostalgia festival, still pitch perfect, yet no label touches her. Meanwhile, Beyoncé curates a billionaire legacy, Jay-Z hoards catalog stakes, and Blu's rumored third album sits locked on an external hard drive only she can access. Conspiracy? Coincidence? Or cautionary tale? Here's a mind bender. If Blu Cantrell did carry a child for the Carters under a non-disclosure worth millions, would she ever be allowed to say it? NDAs carry penalties that dwarf artistry's profit margins. One leak, and life as she knows it could implode. So maybe staying semi-silent and dropping enough breadcrumbs to keep hope alive is its own form of protest. A way of saying I exist and I remember without detonating the legal dynamite under her feet. Look again at music industry history. Remember Martin Lawrence's 1996 street rant about "they're trying to kill me," Britney Spears' conservatorship breakdown, Kanye's onstage outburst followed by forced hospitalization? Over and over, stars who speak against invisible machinery suddenly get labeled unstable. It's the perfect narrative. Tarnish credibility first and no one believes the message. Blu's Barefoot Night fits the template like a glass slipper, just in a darker fairy tale. Yet the strangest evidence may be numeric. Beyoncé's fourth album, Four album, was released June 24, 2011, while Blu Cantrell's Bittersweet came out June 24, 2003, exactly 8 years earlier. Bittersweet sharing the exact release day as Four, plus that neat 8-year spacing looks, to some, like a deliberate overwrite of Blu's legacy. Fans stitch dates and decimals into prophecy, mapping them like constellations. Are they reaching? Maybe. But sometimes the sheer volume of coincidences feels heavier than proof. You can chalk the math up to cosmic chance, or to billion-dollar brand choreography that prefers its variables neat, tidy, and preferably branded with a 4. Either way, the numerical breadcrumbs keep this rumor alive long after the last radio spin of Hit 'em Up style. So where does that leave us? On one side, a plausible story of an artist who peaked early, mishandled label politics, and succumbed to mental health struggles. On the other, a shadow play of billion-dollar image management, hush money, NDAs, and a surrogate pregnancy that rebranded a child and rewrote a family tree. The truth might sit somewhere in the murky middle, but pop culture thrives on extremes. And as long as Blu stays semi-silent, the void fills with speculation. If you made it this far, hit that like button and light up the comments. Is Blu Cantrell the forgotten mother of Blue Ivy, or simply the industry's most tragic what if? Don't forget to subscribe for more.